back to Studio 5. It's what we all wonder the second we step out of that hair chair. How can I get that same shiny, smooth, and all-around A+ hair at home? Well, in today's Style File, we spill the salon secrets. Beauty Snoop Megan Moore is the owner of Moore Hair Design, and I bet you hear this all the time from your clients. How can I do what you do at home? Is it possible?
It is possible. It's definitely a little bit harder. I'm not going to lie. We have some advantages because we know we do it every day for our jobs.
Sure.
So I'm not going to lie that we do have that going for us.
And there's something to be said about the angle too, right?
True. A stylist is working from the top down, working from above. So we do have a little bit of a better angle to get a smoother finish on the hair. But you can kind of cheat and work on that at home. And I'll show you some techniques a little bit later to do that.
And you said during the commercial break, your goal today is to give women tools and techniques that will give them a blow dry that will carry them through more than just one day.
Right. If you're going to go through the effort of blow drying your hair, my belief is that it should last you at least 2 days, maybe 3 with a little bit of help of dry shampoo.
All right, rule number 1. We'll start with the rules and the techniques. You say less is more.
Less is more when it comes to products. So I own a salon, so of course I love to sell product, but you really need to think about that you don't need to layer tons and tons of product on. So for me, the rule is really try and stick with about 3 products max in your hair. So maybe something for volume, something for smoothing on the end, and then something to finish like a hairspray. More than that, and you're just going overboard, and you can end up kind of undoing the process. So if you want hair to last more than 1 day, it really needs to be pretty clean still. So you don't want to put too much product on there. And then the other part of that is stick with what the recommendation on the bottle says. So if it says 2 to 3 sprays, really stick to that. If you go over the top and jump to 10 sprays because you think, oh, well, if 3's good, 10 must be better, you can really undo what you're trying to do.
Well, let me ask you more about that, though, because I have really thick hair,
right.
I have a lot of hair. So when I read that recommendation, 2 to 3 spritzes, do I need to up that at all depending on the thickness of my hair?
Yeah, so most directions are really kind of geared towards like shoulder length hair. That's kind of the standard. So if you've got long hair, longer than that, or super thick hair, yes, you can up it, but you certainly don't want to go over the top. Always start with less and you can add more maybe the next time, but you can't undo it. Once it's in there,
right.
It's in there. So just stick with less is more.
And I admit, I've been in a situation where that round brush gets stuck like glue halfway through, right? Because you piled on the products. All right, your next tip, your next secret, our hair you're contributing has a little bit of smarts to it. It has memory.
It does. Our hair definitely has memory. So what this means is it's going to take the shape that it comes from when it's wet. So if you let your hair air dry too long and it starts to get frizzy, and then later you flat iron it, it kind of reverts back to that frizz over time. It has that memory built into it. Or if you have a part that you've got in your hair and then later you try and flip that part, it likes to go back the other way because it has that memory built in. So what we have to do is we need to start blow drying our hair within about 20 minutes out of getting out of the shower. That way we can build in the memory of the positive attributes that we want, and those are the ones that are going to stick. So if we want volume or smoothness, we need to start putting those in right from the get-go so that the memory is formed with positive characteristics.
You say it's not just about the heating, the heat from the blow dry. There's another aspect that's just as important.
Yes, absolutely. This is one of the biggest tips to take away. The cooling is just as important as the heating.
What do you mean by that?
What I mean is, have you ever blow dried your hair and it's all smooth and straight, and then you tuck it behind your ears, and then later you come back and you've got an S shape around your ears?
Yes.
Because it cooled in that shape, and now that's locked in, and you can't undo that, right? So the cooling is just as important. So about those 20 minutes after you've blow dried, your hair is still cooling. Even if it feels cool to the touch, the internal temperature is not all the way cool. So you've got to let it cool in the proper form or shape so that it's locked in so it will stay longer. So if you've got your curls in, if you start messing with them before they're all the way cooled, you're going to disturb that, and they're not going to hold as long as if you leave them alone.
I feel like we're talking about hair as if it's a person, a very temperamental, high maintenance, smart individual.
It really is. Okay. It's got a mind of its own for real.
All right, there are the principles. Can we talk products?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's head over here. You brought some of your favorites for the at-home blow dry, and first it starts with that volume that you were talking about.
Yeah, so like I said, stick to 2 or 3 products at the most. I love to always recommend a volumizer. Most women need volume in their hair. That's kind of the #1 thing, although not everybody does.
She looks at me. Yeah.
This one was one of my favorites. This is by Alterna, and it's their 48-hour sustainable volume spritz. So it's an amazing volumizer. Just spray it through the roots when it's damp before you blow dry, and it really is going to give you that 48 hours, so 2 full days of volume. It's an awesome product. Super.
this next one is a leave-in conditioner. Can you really get good moisturizing properties from a spray?
Yes, absolutely. And the reason I love to do a spray is because you can use a little bit more. Both of these are really lightweight, and they'll say on the directions that you can use them liberally, so that means you can use a little bit more.
Okay.
And because it's a spray, you're not worried about it like kind of globbing onto one part and not getting everywhere. It's just a little easier to distribute a spray. So that way you're gonna have some heat protection and some smoothing on the ends and then some volume through the roots. So that's pretty much all you need.
Let's get ready to rock women's worlds, because I'll say for years I've been trying to master the round brush. You say the round brush might be the problem. These are square.
Yes, this is kind of the newest thing. It's my favorite brush by far. I use these in the salon and at home. These are by From, and they're square thermal brushes. The reason they're so cool is because they have that flat surface, so you can almost use them like a paddle brush to get a smooth effect, and then you can turn them like a round brush, and that corner is kind of magical. It grips the hair and pulls it tight, so it gets a really nice curl. So where some people have a hard time where hair slips through a round brush,
because it keeps spinning.
Yep, the corner is the key to kind of keeping it on there so that it doesn't slip through.
So if you're someone who's been fumbling and bumbling for years with that slippery rolling round brush, this could be your solution.
It's amazing. So we'll use those later, and you can see how awesome they are.
Chills.
They're amazing.
All right. Finally, a couple other tools to have in your at-home blow-dry stash.
So this comes in when it talks about the cooling. So the last 20 minutes. So I love to recommend having maybe about 6 Velcro rollers in your drawer. You don't need a whole head of them, just for kind of through the crown and around the face. Pop these in after you've blow-dried completely, and it's just for the cooling. So set that volume in and those curls in. Give it 20 minutes while you're putting your makeup on, and all of a sudden take those out, and your volume is huge, and you'll think, this is what I've been missing, and it's the cooling that everybody forgets.
Okay, and these pins just hold them in place?
Yeah, so you can use these to hold in place. The other thing you can use with these, so say you've got curls like you've got today, you can use these to just clip in those curls and lock them in. So if somebody says, my curls always fall flat, curl them and then lock them in place with these, and while it cools, that's when the curl is going to get locked in.
Got it, got it. All right, we've got the principles, we've got the products. You brought along your friend Alicia. She's going to demonstrate exactly now how we pull this off at home, right?
Yep.
You get going. I know half of her hair is done, half of her hair we'll learn on. When we come back, we're going to teach you at home how to put all of these principles and products into action, how you can get that salon-worthy blowout in your own bathroom. Next on Studio 5. All right, I'm back with Beauty Snoop Megan Moore, who is helping us all get a great blow dry at home. We've got our beautiful model, Alicia. Before the show, Megan did half of her hair. This is what we're going for, right? The smooth, shiny, beautiful style.
Yeah, kind of fun, bouncy. It's got lots of movement and texture, but it's good. The most important thing is it's going to last because it's cooled, it's been set. All the principles that we talked about, they've all been applied, so now she is set.
See, that is what we want on the other side, though, right? You'd like your whole hair done, I'm sure. Yeah, that would be nice. All right, before we get going, can I ask you about a blow dryer? How important is a quality blow dryer?
A good blow dryer makes a big difference. They last longer, the motor's better, and they usually have good ionics inside of them that help smooth the hair too. So it's going to cost you a couple $100 to get a blow dryer that's nice, but they're quieter and they're going to last longer, so it's totally worth the investment.
All right, Megan, show us how to do this.
All right, so we're going to start with Alicia's hair and using this square brush. This is a medium-sized one, and I'm going in around her face first because that's where she's got the most kind of curl and frizz that we need to combat. And her hair's pretty dry, but it still has some moisture left in it.
You're pulling far away from the head.
I'm pulling to smooth, and then once it's kind of smooth and I'm happy with that, then I'm going to use those corners and wrap, and I'm going to apply that heat and let it hold for just a few seconds. This blow dryer has a nozzle on it, so it's safe to put it right up next to the brush. And then I'm going to flip and use my cool shot on my blow dryer, and that's where we talk about the cooling as just as important as the heating. So I'm going to cool it down to start locking that curl in.
But essentially, you had that whole strand of hair dry and smooth and almost straight before you started to twist your wrist.
Right, because I still want it smooth through the top, but then I want some bend and some texture through the bottom. So I'm smoothing before I'm putting in that shape.
And can I ask, on all sections of the hair are we pulling out, or do we ever lift up?
The top will definitely lift up because we want more volume, but through the base, we're not working on too much volume down here, so we're really kind of pulling down, away, and just really using that brush to give our smoothness. Let the tools do the work for you. and then it's going to start to create the smoothness and the curl that you've been looking for.
Now, if I'm doing this at home, you have the luxury of working both of your hands. If I'm doing this at home, I tend to sometimes put down the blow dryer, pick up a chunk of hair, get my brush ready, and then arm and go. Is that how we do it?
Yeah, so at home it's a little bit trickier. I'll demonstrate on myself if that's okay, just to make it a little easier. If you can start by tipping your head over and going kind of underneath, that way you don't have to put the blow dryer down every single time. The tricky thing is the other side. If you can learn to switch hands.
I can't do it.
You can. It takes practice, but that way you don't always have to be putting things down and clamping up and whatever. So it does take practice. And then you're going to tip your head down so the blow dryer is above, and that's when you're going to get that angle that the hairstylist has for the smoothness that you're kind of missing.
Alicia with the perfectly styled hair was laughing at me. Thanks a lot. It would take some practice to get that going on the other side.
It does. It takes practice, but you'd be surprised at what you can do with your left hand.
We'll finish her off during the commercial break. And wow, before I let you go, what's coming up on your website?
Oh, we've got lots of fun stuff coming up for fall. All of my fall skincare series is coming up. So you know when your skin starts to change for fall and it's just not wearing makeup as well. So I'm starting to get into all of that fun stuff.
Okay, fantastic. And just back from New York Fashion Week.
Oh yes, Fashion Week was amazing.
So we'll be seeing some trends too. All right, thanks you guys.